¿Estás listo?
Sí.
Sí,
But the conversation will be in English or
of
both?
Of course. What, you want to do in Spanish?
No.
No. So I just wanted to sit down with you today, Mark. There is a lot of people on Instagram especially that are constantly asking me, yeah, Jimena, you're talking all the time about fertility, female fertility. And they go like, what about male fertility? And I found that very interesting because you know how I'm always talking, or we are always talking, because you're with women, you work with women as well. We're always talking about topics that they're treated for men, but not for women. And I think this is one of the cases when it's the opposite. Like everyone talks about female fertility, but nobody talks about male fertility. And when there are problems with fertility, I think everyone assumes that it's always a problem with female fertility. But what's with the men?
Yeah.
And
in most of the cases, if the fertility doesn't work or you have problems with that in couples, more than 50% is a problem with the man.
More than 50%?
More than 50%. If the couple can't get pregnant, it's the problem in man, really.
More than 50%?
Yeah, more than half of the cases.
Oh, this is news for me.
Yeah,
I'm going to learn a lot with you guys, with Mark, because I have no idea about this. More than 50%?
More than 50%. The problem is in the sperms of the man. And the problem is that men are not that open to go see somebody, because it could be a little bit a shame for them if they have problems with their fertility and potency, and that's why a lot of men refuse to go to the doctor and let it check.
Shut up! I had no idea. I mean, I know that it should be looked at, but because females have so many problems with fertility nowadays, that I assumed, even me, I assumed that it was...
No, the problem is we have a lot of xenoestrogens in the environment.
Let's talk about that.
The problem is it's not good for both women or men, but especially for men and for their testosterone, xenoestrogens are very, very bad in case of their quality and of the amount of sperms they have. So getting a lot of BPA, pesticides and stuff like that, which is working in the body like estrogens, is very bad for men, especially in case of infertility or impotency. So we have a lot of problems there, that a lot of men have way too much estrogens, have way too much environmental toxins. And you can see that, for example, if they have fat around in this area, if they have man boobs, what a lot of men have in these days. And that are points where you can, on the other hand, work to increase your fertility if you stop having too much xenoestrogens in your body. Don't use plastic. Decrease your body fat, because in the body fat you have the enzyme aromatase, which converts testosterone to estrogen, and you need more testosterone and not more estrogen. And a lot of men have too much estrogen in these days because of all the environmental toxins, because they drink too much beer, they have too high body fat percentage, because, like I said, the body fat converts via the enzyme aromatase testosterone to estrogens.
To estrogen. We've got a lot of words here that maybe are a little bit complicated. They're normal for us, like xenoestrogens. We also have the word aromatase or aromatase. And the process called aromatization, which is the process in which testosterone is converted into estrogen, correct? And you said, for example, that one of the places that this happens is in body fat. But I always have one thing, which is, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the human body will never want to be overweight. So it's not about men or female having to go on a weight loss diet, right? It's fix the way that you eat, fix the way that you live, and then the excess body fat will go away, right? Yeah. Because it's also like a vicious circle, right? Like the more fat you have, the more estrogen, or the more you aromatize, and the more you aromatize, the more body fat you actually have. Okay, so that's very important. And xenoestrogens, xeno is external or outside, right? And estrogens is estrogen. So it's like estrogens that are outside of the body. That come from outside.
In particular, it are not estrogens, but it works like an estrogen in your body. Like it's still BPA, it's still plastics, it's still pesticides, but it works on the estrogen receptor, and it works as a estrogen in the body. And that's why it's called xenoestrogens. And we have a lot of things which work like xenoestrogens.
Xenoestrogens.
And the next big problem with that is it's not like just pesticides and artificial things like BPA. It's, for example, the main ingredient in beer, which is it called in English?
Hops.
Is the
Barley.
most
Hops and barley.
Yeah, it's the most estrogenic plant there is.
Yeah,
And
and
we
that's
put
very
it in
typical,
beer.
right? Because if you see men who drink a lot of
Yeah.
beer, what do they have? They always have big bellies,
Yeah,
right?
and boobs,
And boobs,
man
yes.
boobs,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
that's the problem. And it was monks created a beer to don't have sexual desire. That's what they created it for, and that's what a lot of men do. And that's why it would be important if you want to get pregnant or have problems with your fertility as a man and have the signs of too much body fat and too much estrogen. Stop drinking beer when you want to get pregnant with your wife or your partner, and that's a big problem. And
This is
Yeah.
super interesting. So beer was, I didn't know this, beer was invented by monks
Yeah.
to suppress sexual desire.
yeah, and that's what estrogen does. And testosterone is the exact opposite, and you need more testosterone.
As a man.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so you need more testosterone, you need less xenoestrogens. We also mentioned the word BPA,
Yeah.
which in Espanol, BPA, which is a kind, it's something that it's in plastics, right?
Sí.
So it's very important. This is one of the reasons why we don't want to eat from plastics.
Yeah, or drink.
Or drink from plastics, or use Teflon pans,
Or plastic wrapping.
plastic wrapping, exactly. And also it's in the lining of cans and tins. So if you're gonna buy something that is in a can or a tin, especially in cans more than tins, like the long ones, look for one that says free or BPA free, right? But in any case, try to buy things that are in glass.
Yeah, in glass or organic or from your local farmer, something like
Exactly,
that.
local farm. Yeah, if it's no packaging, even better.
Yeah,
Like bring
yeah,
your
yeah,
own
yeah.
packaging. Like we do that, right? When we go to the market on Wednesdays, we bring our own containers,
Out of glass. Yeah.
and then they just put us the food inside, and they're very happy about that.
Yeah.
Because also it reduces waste.
Yeah.
So that's super important.
Yeah.
What else can men do to have more testosterone, reduce their estrogen charge? Or help with impotency, help with anything that is bothering the
There are a lot of things you can do. The most important topic is always stress, because stress reduces in both genders always sexual desire or libido. And in the vacations, most of the couples don't have a problem with it, have increased libido. And that's a really, really big point, because if your body thinks, okay, we are in a stressful environment, it doesn't make sense to even have another child we have to look for and have to give food to and have to take care of if we even can't take care of ourselves. So stress is always number one for everything, but especially for potency and fertility in both genders. Then what happens a lot is a deficiency, for example, in zinc. Zinc is the most important mineral in dependence of testosterone.
And also for the quality of sperm.
Yes.
Yeah.
And to increase testosterone. So zinc is especially in red meat, but you can measure it. Maybe you can try to measure it, or at least you can supplement it a little bit or increase your red meat consumption. But zinc would be the most important mineral for that.
Okay.
Then we can try to get rid of the BPA and xenoestrogens. Best would be what you wrote about sauna. Sauna, sweating out the toxins.
Yes.
That's
If
very
you
good.
need, I've got in my Instagram, here I'm going to be leaving Mark's Instagram and my Instagram. We did a few posts when we were in Egypt about how to do sauna and why to do sauna, because it's very good for getting rid of all the toxins. And I was reading, you remember that I was reading during the summer, not the summer, it wasn't the summer, it was December, but it felt like the summer because we were in Egypt. There's a very good study, the biggest one done, where they could measure that BPA particularly is secreted from the body through sweat.
Yeah.
So sweating is very good to reduce BPA,
Yeah,
for example.
very important.
Yeah.
Another big topic is don't carry your phone switched on in the pocket,
Yes.
because that's decreasing the quality of your sperms really, really much.
And also for females.
Yeah.
Like don't carry the pocket in your genital area.
And put it in airplane mode.
Put it in airplane mode. That's what we always do, right?
Yeah.
What we do is our phones are constantly on airplane mode, right? And whenever we need to check, we turn it on, check whatever we need to check, and back on airplane
Yeah.
mode. Many people will say, like, what if someone wants to reach you because they have an emergency? But how many times do we actually...
Yeah, never happened to me.
Never happened that you have an emergency. And we check our phones every now and then.
Yeah.
So, so I think the emergency is your health.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
What other things would you
increasing testosterone, one of the most important parts is sleep enough.
Sleep.
The studies say if you sleep less than 8 hours a night, roundabout, more like 7 to 6 hours, you have a decreased testosterone by 30%, something like that. So it's really a lot. And
there is a thing where men... We were talking about this with Simone last year, 2020, that men need to sleep more than women.
So
because that's the thing that
to the age of 30, you could even sleep up to 10 hours as a man.
Until
From the
age of 30.
From the age of 30, it decreases. It goes down slowly to 8 to 7 hours. But if you get 8 hours, would be totally
Perfect.
good. Yeah, our friend Maxi tested his testosterone and tested different things where he looked what increases and decreases testosterone, and a lack of sleep was by far the worst, which decreased the most testosterone.
No way.
Even one night with just 5 hours of sleep decreases testosterone by 30% on the next day.
No way.
So that's really, really important. And the next point is, if you don't go to work out and do strength training at all, that would be a good possibility. But for me, fixing sleep, fixing BPA and estrogens and food and alcohol and mercury first, and then you can think about working out, not too much, because too much stress, too much training, if you run a marathon a day, you decrease your testosterone.
Then we go back. It's like we said at the beginning, you need to lose body fat to have a better ratio of estrogen to testosterone. But then I said it's not about doing a diet, and it's not about doing a marathon or doing a lot of cardio, because cardio is stress for the body.
Yes.
If you're doing like chronic cardio, right, like running a lot and doing marathons and like constantly because you think that that's the way that you're gonna get rid of all the fat and everything, then you're doing the opposite. You're creating more stress and then you're sleeping worse as well. So you're like completely breaking everything.
That's why I would say go maybe 2 to 4 times.
But weight lift.
Yeah. Lift.
Because also lifting increases testosterone in both men and women.
Yeah.
And the more muscle mass you have as well, the better for testosterone.
But still, you can't overdo it, because it takes a lot of energy to produce sperm, and it takes a lot of energy to produce muscle mass. If the whole energy of your body goes totally into building muscle mass, there's no energy left because if you think about it, we are creating a new life, so it takes a lot of energy for the male body in the first part. The second part is 9 months of the lady, but the first part is a lot of energy for the man to create new life. So if all of your energy is going into building muscle mass, so it's all about the balance. But
and we
if
can
you,
see that as well with bodybuilders. And I'm talking about natural bodybuilders, because obviously the ones that take drugs to become bigger, they completely lose their libido, their potency, everything. But the natural ones, the ones that don't take anything, but they train so much and they get so big that also they have problems with fertility. Because everything is going to create a body that is not natural in the environment. Right?
Yeah.
What other things are good for the guys?
Two more important things.
Biohacks as well.
I know you want to talk about, but we have to wait for that.
Why?
We talk about that later. For testosterone, behave like a man. So we have talked about the yang and the yin side, but the yang side, a lot of men are not in the yang side anymore. They're not dominant in a good way. They don't want to decide. They don't want to go and take the lead. So you have to behave like a man to have more testosterone.
Okay,
and that's a big topic.
Yes, it's a big topic, because I can see that a lot of people are gonna be like feeling burned by this. It's like we don't mean what Mark says when we say this is not behave like a man, like be a man, don't cry, right? It's not what we're trying to say, because actually men can and should be in connection with their feelings, right? And their emotions. It's not about that. It's not about like telling your children, don't cry, you're a man, right? It's about being the active part of the relationship, right? It's
not just in a relationship, in their whole life.
In their whole life.
Be active, decide, go take the lead, be in charge of things, take responsibility for everything. And if you're more in your yang side, your partner can be more in her yin side. And because otherwise she has to do all this hard stuff.
Yes, and this is happening a lot. And I have an interview that I'm going to be linking when I was interviewed a couple of weeks ago by Josh in Fire Builders, where we talk about the fact that women who are too much into the yang side, which is very common nowadays, it happened to me as well, develop PCOS, which is a
too
problem
high
because too high testosterone. Because they have to behave. And one of the things that I said, and many women ask me about this, is like I say, ladies, you have to try and be more in your yin side, which again doesn't mean being a flower on the wall. It means being the receptive part. It means you can totally be a boss and have an amazing business and everything, but without breaking your hormones. So it's again, we're not talking about don't cry, you're a man, or go clean the house because you're a woman. No, there's nothing to do with that. It's to do with the roles and the flow of energy between both parts, right?
Yeah.
It's like the yin and yang.
And if you have to be more in your yang side in the business, you still can be more in your yin side in your free time and choose activities which are more of yin, like creative, intuitive, emotional, something like that.
Things that you enjoyed when you were little are very
yin.
Yeah,
a lot of time.
And how can the guys be more in the yang? You're very good at this because you're very action taker,
but
very decisive, very like.
Yeah, I'm trying to take responsibility for everything, trying to always decide for myself.
But you're not overpowering, and that's something that I really admire in you. Because some people will think that being in the yang and taking responsibility and making decisions is kind of like be a tyrant, where you're like, this is what I say and this is what it's done.
Yeah.
But that's not the case, right?
No, but at least I always say my opinion. I always say, okay, if we can decide, I would do this, and then we choose together. But still, I always give my opinion and try to decide and be active. And still, a lot of the times, and a lot of times I just do things and surprise you, and you just like to be surprised.
Yes, and I'm taking like. It's very interesting how I think we were talking about this the other day when you take charge of things. Like I'm very like I've talked about this in my channel in the past 10 years, but I'm very airy. I'm very like head in the clouds. I have a video talking about head in the clouds actually, and it's very hard for me to come back to earth. Whereas you're completely the opposite. You're very earthed and you know what's happening in the real world constantly. So I kind of like, I feel like I can fly. I can be in my yin and fly more while you're taking charge of the real world.
Yes. Another big point is a lot of couples are together for the wrong reasons. So your subconscious always will know if you're together with the wrong people and say, okay, that's the wrong partner, we're not having a baby. And a lot of time the subconscious can decrease your fertility in both partners because the subconscious knows you're not together for the right reasons with the right partner.
Or the biology. Your biology knows that you're not compatible.
If you are not turned on by the smell or taste of your partner, and we're not talking about perfumes or something artificial, but the natural smell of your partner, then your genetics say, okay, we're not compatible.
Yeah, and that happens a lot when women
are on the pill,
right? What happens when women are on the pill? And this is
when women are on the pill, they're more looking for partners which are high in, let me see, I think it's high in oxytocin, and are more like the partner that's nice, more like a brother and nice to be together, and more like, okay, we are nice friends,
like a fraternal relationship instead of like an actual normal in nature relationship.
Yes, and if you are not on the pill, women look intuitive more for people and guys with higher testosterone and are more drawn to that because you can smell it actually. But just if you are not on the pill and if you don't wear a ton of like...
Yeah, don't wear perfumes. Yeah. Like, we don't need perfumes. And perfumes are very estrogenic as well. They most perfumes have got things that will increase your estrogen in a bad way, both for men and female. So we don't need perfumes. Like, just be nice, be clean.
Yeah. If you don't smell good, work on that, and it's your body trying to detoxify.
Yes, exactly. If you have to take 20 showers a day and you really smell bad, there is something going on there. Yeah. But just be clean and your natural smell will do the job.
Yeah, and the last biohack, which is then the extra one you can do, which you wanted to talk about earlier, is if you get sunlight or infrared light on your genitals, then we know from studies that you can increase your testosterone and libido.
So, like taking the sun
Naked.
Naked.
Yeah. Or if you have an infrared panel at home, sit in front of him naked.
Naked.
Can help.
Every day.
Yeah. Yeah, especially if you're trying to get pregnant. But before you get pregnant, I would always take at least 6, better as 1 year to 2 years to prepare, get healthy, increase the nutrients in your diet, supplement if you want to, and everything like that. But I would prepare at least 6 months to 12 months to 48 months. Yeah.
Before
like
you get pregnant,
Yeah.
it's important that both partners
As healthy as possible.
are as healthy as possible. And that will take, depending on how you are right now, it will take 6 months, or you can take up to 2 months, right? So even more.
2 months, 2 years.
2 years. Sorry, 2 years.
2
I'm
years,
taking 6 months or 2 years.
Yeah.
Depending on where you are. So get rid of your metals, right? Get rid of your mercuries. Check your toxin charge with maybe a hair test, could be. What else can we do?
Work on the basics, like take your courses.
And like the basics are always the 5 pillars of ancestral health, right?
Yeah.
Like work on the basics. Like we're giving you more tips what to do on top, but you can't have a magic pill.
It's always the fundament.
If you don't do the basics, if you don't do what you have to do, then forget about magic pill because it's not going to happen.
So do the basics, eat right, move right, sleep right, be in the sun, have good relationships, and then the rest we talked about is on top. But check that.
And do it.
Yes.
Do the job.
Yes.
Because nobody's going to do it for you. Any other questions that you have or any other videos you want us to do together, we will be super happy to talk about that. How did you feel? Good?
Good.
Ready for more?
See you.
Ok, nos vemos en el siguiente. ¡Chao!